Hi everyone, and welcome to another video. So in this video, I'm going to give you an update on my V70 T5 engine problems that I have mentioned in a previous video. If you haven't seen that video first, please watch that video first. I'll make sure to leave a link in the description. In the last video that I spoke about, I suspected that the engine needed stem seals. And to a degree, that still needs doing, but just because if we're taking the engine apart, hopefully for the last time, I want to make sure that everything is bob on. So we're going to redo the job. Essentially, we don't think now, after further inspection, that there's anything wrong with the stem seals. We don't think there is anything wrong with the head. It's all on the block of that 5-cylinder engine. So in the last couple of days, I sent the Volvo down to my friend who is a mechanic. He's a Volvo specialist. He only really deals with, in terms of big projects, Volvos. I gave it to him to check over the car, make sure there were no more air leaks, because as mentioned in the past, I have suffered greatly with air leaks. Now, everything to do with vacuum lines and hoses has been replaced, but an older car under high pressure boost, as well as a modified car, as anyone would appreciate, vacuum leaks just happen. Like under higher boost, things start popping off and all that sort of jazz. And that happens a lot on my car, but it's just one of those things. It's one of those things, hopefully, when the new engine goes in place, it's something I'm going to be really on top of and make sure that everything is done up tight before. Yeah. He checked over the vehicle, he made sure there were no air leaks. I wanted to make sure, before I knew that it wasn't the stem seals, I was like, right, okay, can we do a compression test on the block just to rule it out, just to make sure that the block's nice and healthy and we can go on ahead with a head rebuild. So he runs his smoke test to make sure there are no air leaks. No air leaks, hunky-dory, that's fantastic, that's a good sign. Well, it's a good sign that there are no air leaks, it's a bad sign because why is the engine smoking at all? And then, after completing the compression test, he obviously finds something that's quite wrong. So, here are the results for a dry hot test. Here are the numbers for a wet test. Now, as you can see, on a dry hot test, the PSI of the engine on average is around 125 PSI, and on a wet test is around about 150 PSI. Volvo spec that this engine should be between 156 and 180 odd PSI from, as a healthy, good engine. From that alone, that means to me that the engine block itself is at fault, is obviously not happy, obviously very worn out and needs some attention. Now, when me and my mate put this block into the car, came from a Volvo breaker. We didn't know the history of the block. We didn't know the history of the engine or the car. So it could have come literally from anything. So we knew that it would have been a running engine, but we had no ability to test that. My engine has an S60 block, which is a stronger block. It's the same design, but it's just newer. We didn't know the history of that engine, so we didn't know. We could have put in an engine that had any amount of history, so we didn't know. So personally, for me, like when we put it all together, the car was a lot faster, felt a lot more solid and a lot faster in terms of the engine when we first put it together, and over time has gradually been getting worse, which has risen questions in my mind that there might be an issue. But this is effectively the first compression test the engine has had. It's a little bit rubbish on our part. We should have maybe compression tested it sooner, but here we are. At this present moment in time, block has low compression. That only means one thing in terms of what we're gonna do. So that brings me on to that point. What am I gonna do? After some long discussions, trying to make the best decision, I am gonna have the engine completely rebuilt. So we are going to redo the head. We're going to do all the stem seals. We're going to make sure that everything's nice and happy. Everything that we need to do to make sure that this car is reliable. Considerably longer than what I've had already. The plan of action is to make sure, yeah, we've got an engine that lasts more than 3 years effectively, which is so far what the engine has already lasted. Now, we're not going to get another engine. We're going to stick with the engine that we've got, because even though it's on a low compression, it's not running at all. If it was a point where there was a considerable amount of knocking, that'd be worth considering. What we're going to do is just have the engine, the block's going to be freshened up by an external source, and then we're going to rebuild separately the head, and then we're going to put it all back together using Volvo parts. Probably going to get the car retuned so it's slightly more sensible, but sensible also means that it's going to be reliable. And I never had the engine rebuilt in the Volvo to be quick. I had, you know, it was always a byproduct. Or if you do this, we might as well do this because, you know, blah, 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 blah. But I wanted the engine refreshed or changed for something better so it lasts longer. In essence, I just want the car to last. I just want the car to be there. I really like driving the Volvo, and, you know, yeah, it's my absolute pride and joy. So at the moment, obviously, COVID-19 has put a halt to everything. I don't have the funding available to do all this work, so I am having to source the money, but with COVID-19, that's making it very, very difficult. As soon as I am able to, I will get the money, and when the ball starts rolling, I'll be sure to let all of you know what is going on. Hopefully I could be able to film a little bit of it. That obviously depends on how comfortable my friend is being filmed or being in the video, but I hope to record some of the process. But you'll certainly find out. I'll do these updates regularly of what's going on. So at the moment, the Volvo's not being driven because I don't want to risk any more damage happening that's going to cost me any more money. I don't want it, like, for example, to take out the turbo, because the turbo has been recently checked as well. It came off the car because we suspected that might have been causing the smoke. So this has actually been going on a little while. So no, at the moment the Volvo is hibernating, and as soon as I'm able to start getting the work done, we're going to order in the parts and we're going to get the ball rolling, and we're just going to do it. And hopefully within a few weeks, I'd like to think a few weeks, I should have another car. I'd like it for this summer, but probably unrealistic. This year is a complete write-off anyway. Any news as and when it comes, I'll be sure to let you know. So make sure to subscribe and make sure to keep an eye out for future videos about this. It's going to get quite interesting. So anyway, in the meantime, everybody stay safe, stay well, and I'll catch you in another video. Cheers. Thank you. Bye. Oh no,